Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities in case you missed it for June 2023. Here, I gather up some weird and offbeat stories that mostly happen throughout the current month that you might not have heard about. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Summer is here and the heat has come with it, especially in Texas where they're experiencing a nasty heat wave. Last year, there were 279 heat related deaths in Texas, and because of that, you'd think Texas would mandate a water break law, especially for people working construction or agriculture. And you'd be right in thinking that, because that's exactly what Texas did by passing House Bill 2127, also known as the Death Star. Now, I know what you're thinking. When you hear Death Star, you think this. And for good reason. While a water break mandate was passed, it's not the type you'd want. The dope governor of Texas, known as Greg Abbott, signed a bill that nullifies local ordinances and stops required water breaks for employees who work in the heat and prevent any local jurisdictions in the state from passing laws that would mandate water breaks in the future. So basically, die of heat stroke, you peasants. How in the world does this make sense? The only thing I can think of is that moron wants to break the record for most heat-related deaths in the country. Going from one oddball state to the biggest oddball state in the country, oh yes, you already know, it's Florida. Honestly, this story from Florida isn't all that weird. It's rather impressive what the people did here. Florida residents who were annoyed with the rising home costs have decided to take matters into their own hands. These residents created their own little village on one of the islands near the Dunlawton Bridge in Port Orange, Florida. The village, which is really a treehouse, is 4 stories tall, has a welcome center, a mini skate park, a trampoline, and even a pool. Not too shabby. Some of the people in the area called it Meth Island. Even though it's called that, I wasn't able to find any stories saying that meth was actually made or used there. Sadly, police came and evicted the people who built and lived on Meth Island, claiming that it would entice kids to go there and was dangerous. The structures were torn down and the people had to look elsewhere for a place to live. Personally, I think the real reason they got rid of the people is because they couldn't collect money from them and folks in the neighborhood didn't want the eyesore. Either way, I'm sure there's a new island that will be claimed with an even more grand structure built upon it. This is Phil, and he's a 9-foot-tall werewolf statue stationed at Mary Simmons' front yard in Ohio. Phil has become sort of a street mascot with neighbors loving him. Mary says she dresses him according to the seasons and will soon have him in sunglasses and a Hawaiian shirt. However, like every neighborhood, there is one crab who tries to ruin all the fun. The city of Piqua, where Mary resides, sent her a letter asking her to take down Phil because of an anonymous complaint. Mary said no, and Phil remains up with the majority of neighbors backing her decision. When asked why she decided to keep Phil up, Mary said it was partially for security reasons. Who would want to break into a place owned by a person crazy enough to have a 9-foot werewolf on display? I'm sure many of us know the annoyance of a smoke detector with a low battery. The constant beeping begging you to change batteries. Why we don't just swap out batteries to cease the noise is beyond me. The point is, you know how annoying it can be, and because of that, you might understand the actions of this janitor. At the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, a janitor was doing his job but kept hearing a weird beeping alarm going off. It was loud, it was annoying, and it just wouldn't stop. The janitor decided enough was enough and hunted down the source of the noise. And sure enough, he found it. It was a storage freezer. The janitor pulled the plug on that son of a monkey's uncle and continued on with his work. Unfortunately for the janitor, the storage freezer held material that was being researched for photosynthesis to better develop solar panels. Not only that, the material had to be stored at negative 112 degrees Fahrenheit, and since he pulled the plug, the temperature jumped to negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty much destroying and damaging the materials being stored. And if that wasn't enough, it wiped out 20 plus years of research and would cost over $1 million to replicate the samples and experiments that were lost. When confronted about what happened, the janitor said he did nothing wrong, even though there was a note saying don't clean this area and the freezer's malfunctioning. Along with that note was instructions on how to stop the alarm from going off by holding a button for 10 to 20 seconds. Needless to say, this janitor is seeking new employment, and the company he used to work for is now being sued. All because he didn't read a note and was annoyed at an alarm beeping. Finally, in a wooded area not far from Houston, a grim discovery was found. The body of a dead woman in a bag. A person called the sheriffs claiming they found the body of a woman who they believed to be dead partially sticking out of a bag. Deputies wasted no time getting to the area, closing off the street, and reporting that they believed foul play was involved. They noted that they didn't smell any foul odor coming from the bag, but they wanted to be thorough. They taped off the crime scene and waited about 2 hours for a detective to show up. Upon examining the body, the detective was able to solve the crime immediately. Turns out it wasn't an actual human body in the bag, but a life-size realistic sex doll. Suffice to say, the deputies looked like the Keystone Cops, not being able to tell the difference between an actual human female being, or maybe dolls are just that realistic now. No word on if the doll was used, or if one of the deputies took the doll home after clearing the not so much of a crime scene. And that concludes In Case You Missed It for June 2023. Thank you all for watching, and if you have your own offbeat stories, feel free to share it with us in the comment section down below, or share it with us on social media. You can find those links in the description below. Thank you all again for watching, and we will be seeing you in July.